And we are live
We're live.
with episode 179 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. What is up, everybody? Hard to believe, but January has already flown by. We missed a couple weeks, but we are excited to be back. Randy Brothers will not be joining us today. So, Randy, hope you're having a good night, my friend, and you'll rejoin us next week. But we have two good guests today. So usually we only have one, but today we got two good guests. So it's kind of replace, Randy, I guess. We got John and AJ with PowrLine. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up?
So where you guys at? You guys are in a hotel room, right? Where are you guys at? You guys at the IRE?
Yeah, we're at the IRE in New Orleans, and we came up to our hotel room to have a little more quiet space to chat.
It'd be a little loud if you guys did it in the conference center for sure. So how's it looking over there? Looking like we got some people?
Yeah, a lot of good energy, a lot of good vendors. A lot of great vendors out there looking, and it's a good networking event.
Yeah, IRE is one of those that you got to go to. It's always a great conference. So make sure you guys are linking up with these guys, with John and AJ, because they're out at the IRE. So make sure you guys are connecting, learn a little bit more what they got going on. But before we kind of dive into the meat of things, I always like to start out with some background, right? Make sure everybody knows who you guys are, what you guys are all about, and stuff like that. So John, what's your background? How did you get into roofing and stuff like that?
Yeah, so like a lot of people, roofing kind of found me. Been working in the roofing space for a little more than a decade, and started DeLaurier Roofing in Athens, Georgia. We're on our 6th year in business now. So yeah, we're primarily retail, roof replacements, and that's pretty much where we stay for most of what we do.
Mm-hmm. And how you liking the roofing space? How's everything going with the roofing company?
Going really well. I mean, yeah. I mean, we've had very consistent years, year out after year. We're actually going to add a new location in a larger market in Georgia soon. So we're excited about that too. That's coming this year. So we're excited to expand, and we're getting into commercial coatings as well. So we're really liking that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, this man's closed like 2 deals just since we got.
Yeah, I actually just closed
from New Orleans.
Yeah, I just closed like a pretty big commercial job for us, pretty high margin job. We've been working on for about a year, so pretty excited about that.
Let's go! Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so traveling, IRE, still closing deals. I love it. So then, how did you get connected to AJ? AJ, how did you get connected to John?
So I was in Athens for school, and I started doing some consulting work, just doing small business marketing for some companies in the area. And John was one of my first clients, maybe even my first client. And we just hit it off right away. And I just was working in his business, on his website, on his SEO and his marketing. We started getting some more leads. And within a year of that happening, he started telling me about just how much of a pain it was to follow up and keep on top of all these leads that we were getting in the door. And so I started, my wheels started turning, and I started working on different solutions. And I hacked together some things to help him with his sales process. And the results of that were really, really good, like surprisingly good. So that led to me building a full app out, which is now PowrLine. And that was really built around John's roofing business. And
super cool.
That's how that happened.
Super cool. I would say if a contractor, right, is looking at their year, January is done now, and they're kind of preparing for roofing season and stuff like that. If you were to work on one thing, if you made improving your follow-up in your sales process, I mean, it could have such a significant impact on the amount of customers you have, your revenue, everything like that.
Yeah,
it was super surprising to me. I mean, I've been in sales for a long time, and so I've known the importance of follow-up. But just seeing it automated, and it was in the beginning, it was a little frustrating because the automations were beating me in my my normal process. Because I was very regimented and email, text, phone call, following up in our sales process, and really, I mean, just changed my life. As far as the time that I spend on just following up is almost, nothing now that I physically do. But the results are almost double as far as close rate go from what we've seen in the past.
I think the numbers of the close ratio really speak for themselves. Talk about where your close ratio started.
Sure. So roughly 1 out of 4. So 27, maybe 28% was my close rate. We're using all the same software. We're using Sumo Quote for our sales presentation. We're using Company Cam to keep track of all the jobs. Everything as far as our sales process has always been the same from that 27, 28% close rate. And now we're about 2 out of 3. So 64% is pretty much where I'm closing right now. 64% close. Same everything. I've actually increased my prices. My margin's higher because we have a consistency and a predictability in our close rate. I have the confidence now to know that I'm going to close at a higher rate as far as margin goes, and then obviously higher profit in the dollars. So it's really, I mean, it really has changed my life. I will constantly be having breakfast with my family on Saturday morning and be like, hey, we just sold a job. And she's like, you were on the phone. My wife will tell me, and I'm like, PowrLine followed up, and the customer, they appreciated the consistent response, and they actually generally know that it is an automation, but they just know that we've taken the time to put those systems in place to stay on top of their mind, so they make that decision.
I will say, I think. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, you're good, man. Let it ride. What's up, AJ?
So I just wanted to point out. I think it is important to. I think these results of going from 27, 28% to over 60%. That it's not necessary. It's PowrLine is what enabled that for John. But at the end of the day, that's the power of following up. And so if you want to spend the time to follow up that consistently and send all those messages yourself with every one of your contacts, you go right ahead. I wish you the best of luck on sleeping 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night and not spending any time with your family, but you go right ahead and do that. But what the power of the PowrLine really,
they're just not going to do it. That's what the thing is.
Right.
I mean, right? Nobody likes following up.
No. It's not going to happen.
Nobody likes following up. Let's be honest. If you're a salesperson, and I've been in sales, I've done inside sales, I've done outside sales. The last thing you want to do, because let's be honest, you're not just selling. Like, you have customer issues. Like, there's stuff going on at all times, right? And so you're always moving. The last thing you want to be doing is following up. It's just tough.
That's right. It definitely takes a lot of the fun out of what we do in sales. It just, it's necessary to close a lot of times, but it definitely takes it. My stress level is so much less now, because I know I have that predictability. I do all my work on the front end as far as the customer experience, and then just let the automations do the rest.
And one thing too that you guys mentioned was you actually knew what your close rate was beforehand and afterwards. So not only do you want these kind of tools, but you also want data, right, to prove what you're doing is working or not working. So it doesn't matter if it's close rates or AR reports or number of leads you're generating, where they're coming from, what are the close rates from those, making sure you have all that kind of set up. You mentioned one time when we talked, man, it might have been a couple months now, but we talked about virtual selling.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? It seems like you're actually doing that with your roofing company.
Yeah. So again, like I mentioned before, we use Sumo Quote, and it's great by itself. I'll do a little plug for Adam Sand at Roofing Business Partner. I mean, he just built out our Sumo Quote to make it even better. And it's so that part of the actual proposal is amazing. And it's actually the exact reason why I just sold that commercial job. This is a company out of Ohio, and they were blown away by Sumo Quote and just the professionalism that we presented for that. So it works residential and commercial, but on top of that professional proposal, there's a lot of video services you can use for video capture, but we use Loom. And I did, yesterday before I left, like a 7-minute Loom video for a residential proposal. Just I had already sat down with the customer, going through our going through what we do as far as roof replacement. It was a great meeting. But I just reinforced that using the Sumo Quote and Loom, and just my little faces there explaining the whole proposal. Customers really see a lot of benefit to it. We've had customers actually share our Loom videos with other centers of influences. So like a realtor, like a 10,000, 105 square roof for a big realtor in town. And she was sharing that Loom video with all of her contacts because it was such a big deal for her to be able to understand. I mean, I actually know her pretty well, but prospects and customers, they don't hear 80% of what we're saying when we're doing a sales presentation generally. So when they can just go through that Loom video and step by step pause it, understand what the roofing process is, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a super helpful tool. It's how I would want to be sold to. I want all the information there in video form, in a professional proposal, and it's been wildly effective for us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you just stand out too so much, when you think about the way that they're used to getting proposals from contractors and you're able to present yourself that way. I feel like it's a clear separation, and then there's also the benefit of you not having to go back there too, right? Drive back over to the house and stuff like that. I mean, you wouldn't be spending as much time as you can, obviously, just talking to prospects and closing deals, and you want to eliminate as much windshield time as you can.
Yeah. It's again, that same like quality of life for a salesperson. So it's the same way with the follow-up. When you make that Loom video, you're helping the customer understand what you are and what makes you different, but you're also, like you said, not having to drive back over there. There's beautiful like color swatches that Allison at Roofing Business Partner puts together so that the customer, you don't have to bring over a bunch of sample boards for, the things that we always have to do. You're preventing those extra trips from happening at a higher level.
Mm-hmm. And the customers seem to be enjoying that process too.
Oh yeah. You're putting the power, you're giving them the power to choose not only the contractor, but the roof they have, and they get to see, they don't have to just remember what you said. They get to go back and rewatch it over and over again. Cause we get, alerts, and often,
that's nice.
Yeah. Oftentimes we're going to know when they open the email with the Loom video. So we're going to see that initially. And then what will happen is they'll watch it again. And then again, they'll show their spouse. And then it's like, oh, okay, we're going to sell this job because they've showed it 5 times. So it's helpful. And then, like today, we were flying here to the IRE, and I got an alert that my prospect from yesterday watched the Loom video, and then I called them. So, and it's just another way that you can do manual follow-up when the customer is like, it's on top of mind right then. And that's just another way that you can be more efficient with your sales process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So now, let's talk about, the actually setting up a follow-up system, right? Whether it is using PowrLine or other tools, what does this look like? What is it like a proper setup of follow-up? How do I even go about that? Let's say I have my CRM set up, right? I'm using Sumoquote. What do I do now? How do I set this up? What's the proper technique or approach?
Yeah, so I'm the one that handles onboarding for our new users. And one of the first steps is, before you even get into follow-up, is often just like look at your existing sales process and just make sure you have that laid out and systemized first. Because if your overall sales process isn't organized to begin with, then it becomes really difficult to pinpoint, okay, exactly when should follow-up start.
So yeah, if you guys don't have a sales process, that's a great way. Just lay it out step by step. What does that each customer interaction look like, right? What do you say? What happens at that checkpoint, right? And break it down.
And so PowrLine, you can actually create a PowrLine account for free and actually build out your sales process on PowrLine. Doesn't cost you a dime. You can actually create that structure for yourself. PowrLine will actually kind of help you get you started, but it is a kind of a good free tool to begin with, just getting that set up for yourself. Once you have that sales process laid out and systematized, and you know what you're going to do, at least, or what, maybe it's not automated yet, but what you need to be doing in each stage of that process. The next step is to identify areas in that process that where actions need to be taken systematically over time that can be automated. And one of the lowest hanging fruit there is, of course, after you send the quote, it's that follow-up that happens after you send the quote. It's something that happens a set period of time, generally after that quote gets sent, and it happens over and over and over again until they sign the quote, sign the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always the area that we start with first. There's lots of other areas that you can apply follow-up into your business using PowrLine or some other tool. For example, following up to get the review at the end after they paid for the job, or following up on if you paid for a lead, sometimes you got to follow up just to get the appointment. So there's other areas that follow-up apply, but definitely the first place to start is just that follow-up after the quote is sent.
Mm-hmm.
One big thing that we've worked very hard on for the benefit of our users is putting together templates. So we have templates for all the different types of follow-up. So whatever system that you use, that's going to be probably the biggest hurdle is writing out what those messages are that are going to get sent as part of the automated system. What's going to get sent in the text messages, what's going to get sent in the emails, what's going to get sent on postcards if you're implementing postcards. But with PowrLine, we've already done a lot of that work for you by writing out all those templates. And you're welcome to go in and tweak some things. But generally, when we bring on a user, it's like, hey, look, this works. This has generated hundreds of thousands, if not millions at this point, dollars in sales. And so go ahead and start with the template that we have laid out for you. And then once you're comfortable with it, it's been running for a few months and you're getting more sales with it, go in and tweak it. And go in and a little bit more personalized to you if you want. But there's no point in reinventing the wheel here. Like, if we have a follow-up sequence that we know works, like, steal what we've already done for yourself.
100%. Well, what I want to do is I take a quick break to thank our sponsors, and then from there, let's dive into a little bit of the nitty gritty of this whole setup and stuff like that. Maybe some follow-up statistics and some things that they can actually do and take away and implement in their company. So we'll start out with our headline sponsors. Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
So if you guys have still not checked out Job Nimbus, make sure you guys are going to jobnimbus.com, checking them out. You can try it for free and get started. CRM is going to be a big foundation for the branding or the operations of the company. Next will be Hook Agency.
Is it time to turn the heat up on your marketing?
Our website's now been live for 4 months. We did just under $100,000 of leads coming out of organic SEO.
So that was one of the better commercials that we've seen so far here at the Circle Growth Shows. So he rents out a flamethrower. So check them out for web dev, SEO. They'll take care of you for sure. And a company that we've actually mentioned on here, Sumoquote.
Are you looking to stand out with your proposal? Sumo Quote is the contractor quote that crushes the competition. It is the fastest way to build custom quotes that impresses clients and wins more work. It's one of those must-have technologies for roofing contractors, allowing them to sell faster, sell more, and sell smarter. Be sure to check them out at try.sumoquote.com/start-build-grow.
So let's do this. As we mentioned Sumo Quote, we mentioned Job Nimbus. Obviously, we talked about you guys. First off, before we dive into the next topic, how they can check out PowrLine? What's the best way to check it out?
Just go to PowrLine.com. It's POWR line.com. There is no E in power. So be careful there. POWRLINE.com. And I just wanted to say I love all three of those sponsors because we work very closely with all three of those people. John uses Hook Agency for his marketing now, and we have for PowrLine we have very deep integrations with Job Nimbus. We actually can have all the follow-ups be triggered based on status changes in Job Nimbus, and we're also very tightly integrated with Sumo Quote. and can have all kinds of follow-up start and stop based on activity in Sumo Quote.
Super cool.
I just want the flamethrower.
Yeah. That's why he's using Hook.
Pretty good, right? That was pretty good. So I was gonna say you guys kind of gave it away a little bit there, but I was saying if we were gonna have a tech stack, right? So if we were gonna take some different tools, some different technologies, put them together, integrate them together to make the super machine, right? So for the CRM in this case, obviously the sponsor, let's say Job Nimbus, right? Then you could put in, and that's just pretty much gonna organize the business. You could take PowrLine, set up all your follow-up tools, everything like that. Sumo Quote for proposals, make them look better. You can do some virtual selling. I mean, sky's the limit with Sumo Quote in terms of saving you time, design, everything like that. Company cam, you put that in there, boom, it's getting all the photos in there. Like, you're gonna be looking really, really good if you come with something like that, right?
Yeah, it never stops. I mean, it's always surprises me after years of using that tech stack is customers can tell. I mean, commercial, residential, and it blows my mind that not everybody uses it because it really does help us sell jobs just almost automatically.
Yeah, it really is really impressive. I mean, you stand out from the competition. Your business can be more organized, so you're going to be more efficient, right? Which is going to make you more profitable, right? Everybody's going to be on the same page. And another thing too, I think a lot of these tools you do want to make sure. It seems like PowrLine is pretty simple, but with a lot of these other tools, you do probably want to pay a professional, or unless you have somebody that's really good with these kind of tools and technologies to set it up and then customize it to the business, right? And then from there, anybody who's new, they have to be trained. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, what you said is true. We've intentionally tried to make PowrLine as simple to use as possible. If you can use your cell phone and you can text, you can use PowrLine. But you're exactly right. I mean, I've been using Sumo Quote. I was one of the first Sumo Quote contractors, and I still saw huge benefits on getting an additional setup with Adam Sand. Like it's dramatically different. We were already doing really well with what Sumo Quote offers, but it's even better. Like you said, for everything that you use, it is worth the investment to do that because you will only, you'll utilize what you're actually paying for much better.
Yeah, 100%. It's maximize it, right? If you're going to spend the time and money to implement in the company, maximize the output of it. I think a lot of times, it seems like PowrLine's super easy. So you might not even need any of this help with this stuff, but like the CRMs and stuff that might take a little more time to set up, that's where that you want to make sure you're investing the time and money there to get it set up properly. Because, I came from that SaaS background, software as a service, and you sell kind of what the promise is, but you need to make sure you're committed to using the product right and giving it a chance.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's one thing that we're doing here early on in the process. We actually only have 34 spots left that we're looking to fill with ambitious roofing contractors who want to actually work with John and I personally to set up their PowrLine account, exactly how it's going to need to be set up for their company. Yes, it is very simple, and we've done everything we can to enable people to set up their own PowrLine and have it work perfectly out of the box. But we're providing actual support from us as founders, training calls with your team, no matter the size of the team, where we're going to train your team on exactly how to use PowrLine. And also complementary integration setup where we consult with you on how to get this to plug perfectly into your tech stack. That's not something that's always going to be there for all of our users, but for we have 34 spots left for roofing contractors that we are going to be doing that with, who want to work with us one-on-one. So they're not going to have to worry about finding somebody else or just figuring out how to set it up on their own.
I love it. So as we kind of bring this thing to a close, gents, it's been awesome having you on. We always like to end it with a golden nugget. So usually I make Randy go first, right? So you guys have some time to think about it, but I'll go first to give you guys some time. Basically something to, advice for contractors, basically. For me, I've been to a couple of conferences so far that, just to kick off the year, and everywhere I go, I'm kind of asking people, hey, how many are you guys actually using? Are you guys using a CRM system? I would say a lot of people are not using something like that yet. So if you're not, right, don't be afraid to make the jump this year. Just, make sure you're getting help in terms of implementing that program. But, this is the time to kind of make that jump. So that's my golden nugget. John, you want to go first, and then we'll go with AJ?
Yeah, I think it's actually what you said from the beginning. It's the nugget really is follow up. And we hear this and it's not just hearing it, but actually executing the follow-up. So even if you don't use PowrLine, use some sort of follow-up system that will change your business in the best way. You can have a proposal on a piece of paper, and if you follow up, you're going to win. It's so powerful just to do that, just to stay on top of your prospects and let them know that you want their business, because it's just over and over again. The customers say, no one else followed up. You're the only one who did.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So if you follow up, right, you got a chance.
Yep.
AJ?
I would add on top of that and just say, don't be romantic. In the perfect world, it would be amazing to be able to custom write super personalized follow-ups, going out for months and months after every quote you send. That would be awesome. But the reality is that's just not going to happen unless you want to have no life whatsoever. And so it's always better just to take the route that it's better to get a follow-up out than to not send a follow-up at all every time. Even if that follow-up is a little bit on the generic side and it was sent in an automated way, it's still better to get that follow-up out the door and keep yourself top of mind with that prospect than it is to just not have it happen at all, or to have it happen very small number of leads.
Non-personalized follow-up is better than no follow-up. Like, let's be honest, it's a touch point, right? It's throwing it out there. But yeah, hey guys, thank you so much for jumping on today. Have fun at the IRE. If you guys want to check them out, it's PowrLine.com. No E in power. But thank you guys so much for joining us in episode 179.
Great. Can I add one thing?
Throw it on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So for anyone listening, we are going to create a code for PowrLine, Start, Build, Grow. If you use Start, Build, Grow, when you sign up for PowrLine, you upgrade to that paid. Like I said, you can create an account for free. But if you do upgrade to that paid level to actually have automated follow-up, use Start, Build, Grow, and your first month will only be $1.
Boom. Hooking them up. I love it. Thank you, gents. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick.